Hey YouTube, Casey here, and today we're going to be taking a look at two new sets that are a part of this year's June Star Wars wave. So both of these are from the finale episodes of The Mandalorian Season 3, and while I wasn't as big of a fan of this season compared to how good 1 and 2 were, I still thought I'd pick these up for some of the cool character designs and, of course, to make this review. So I'm going to start out here with the smaller set first, this being the Ambush on Mandalore Battle Pack. Now, before I even go in depth with the figures here, I can already tell you that this is a pretty good set because it actually lives up to its name. For a battle pack, we get no named characters or officers, literally just a bunch of cool troopers that you can army build with as much as you'd like. The battle pack retails at that $20 price that we're used to now, but it'll probably go down to around $16 when it goes on sale in a few months. The Mandalorian figures here are super well done, albeit nothing too crazy or different from what we've seen before. We get both a male and a female trooper, which I'm glad are here instead of just getting two of the same exact figure. I really like the all-blue helmets that these guys have, and their designs are just really clean overall. Now, the much more interesting troopers here in this set are the Imperial Armored Commandos. When they were first rumored, I was really excited hearing we'd get them since their design in-universe looks really amazing. But honestly, I think the LEGO fumbled a bit here with the helmet design. I don't think the shaping really matches what we get to see in the show, and the visor print just looks a little bit too thick than what it really needs to be. And I also think it's kind of weird how detailed the helmet is around the back and the sides, even having some white printing back there, and it honestly kind of looks like a Clone Army Customs helmet being a little over detailed. I really like how the torso and leg prints look though, and I'm just really sad that we couldn't have a perfect figure here with that helmet. One last thing to note, though, is that these guys reused the 2019 Rise of Skywalker Sith Jet Trooper backpack piece in white with a 1x1 printed tile on top, which I think is a pretty nice parts usage. So obviously most of the time when you're buying a battle pack, all you really care about are the figures, and that's definitely true here since the build's nothing really to write home about. It's definitely a pretty good parts pack, though. Some of the pieces could be really useful for terrain work on something like an Utapau mock. The build has a little doorway with some lights on the side of a panel here, and then around back there's a place to store an included rifle. The big play feature here, though, has to do with this clear, curved piece that was first introduced in some of the superhero sets last year. It gives you the ability to be able to place a figure on it, and you're able to use this handle in the back to be able to pretend like you're flying the figure around. And this works pretty well for the most part, but it can be a bit restrictive when you're messing around with it a lot. Other than that, though, that's about it for this set, and it's a pretty good battle pack minus those Stormtrooper helmets, which I don't think look terrible, they just aren't as accurate as they could be. The other set I picked up here actually goes alongside this battle pack, being the Paz Vizsla and Moff Gideon battle, and this set retails for $40 and has a figure that a lot of people have been asking for lately. So here he is. Moff Gideon is new and exclusive, so far at least, to this set, and he introduces a new helmet mold for his armored up appearance from the finale episodes. So this piece is really well made, and I don't really have any complaints about it like I did with the Commando helmet. The red printing on the front looks really good, and I really like how the horns look at the top. Underneath the helmet, we have a face for Gustavo, with a back face expression as well. The torso and the leg designs look really nice, and he includes one of those 2019 jetpacks with a tile on it as well. My only complaint with this figure is the lack of any cape, and the older 2021 Moff Gideon included one, and throwing it in here really just would have completed this figure. Next up in this set is the Paz Vizsla figure, who I thought was the same exact version that came in the Armor's Mandalorian Forge from a couple years ago, but it turns out there's actually some slight differences. The most notable differences here are in the helmet, with some silver printing added to the sides of the helmet and some different lines around the front. This guy's pretty much a stellar figure overall, even with some cool detailing underneath the armor. The only figures left here are the two Praetorian Guards, though, and these of course are being based off of their new appearance from the Mando show instead of their appearance in The Last Jedi. My two biggest complaints with these guys are the helmet mold and the choice to use regular legs. You can see here how the helmet kind of flares out at the bottom and makes it look a little fat. Luckily, our boy GCC, or Grandpa Clone Customs as you might know them, comes in clutch with their replacement parts. They introduced a replacement helmet for this guard figure in their May wave last month for only $2.50, and this fixes the issue that I mentioned earlier and looks a lot better in my opinion. They also released a printed skirt piece for $5 as another upgrade option, and this turns a pretty mid figure into something that's really great. Before we move on to the build, I'd just like to point out that you can't get any of these figures outside of their respective sets as of now, and it's just so awesome to get so many figures exclusively for the $60 price that these two cost together. Now, the build for this is actually really cool, but it's not 40 bucks cool, I'd say. I might be able to forgive it if this set came with a 5th figure, that being another Praetorian Guard, but with the 4 that we have, this build's just too small. There's only really room to put one figure on the base of it, which means that in order to have a display going on, you're going to have to stick the rest of them just standing around it. The main play feature of this set, though, does have to do with recreating the scene where the door slams down and Paz Vizsla has his last stand before he dies. This little lever in the back of the build is able to keep the door up, and pushing it down makes the door slam back down. A simple little feature, but it is a lot of fun to mess around with. Other than that, though, there's a turret at the top that can swivel around and can fire off a couple of studs. And taking it off, you're able to have some room for storing some ammo or any other accessories you might have. The turret also has room for someone to sit on it, which isn't accurate to any scene, but is a fun thing for kids to mess around with, I guess. Only other things I really have to point out here is that the door design looks really good in my opinion with these little angled pieces, and I like how there's a few stickers littered throughout it to give it a couple extra details. Now, what you may not have known here is that this model can actually combine with the Battle Pack build thanks to some clip pieces that are embedded inside. This, in my opinion, helps make the value here become so much more, since you're able to buy a bunch of the Battle Packs, connect them all together to the main build, and just have this huge battle between the Mandos and the Imperials. You're actually able to clip the Battle Pack build onto either side of the main build, which gives you some creativity in how you'd like everything to be set up. So should you end up buying either one of these sets, even if you're not a huge fan of this latest season like me, I think that you can't really pass up on something like this just because of the exclusive figures and how cool the combination build is. Especially once these go on sale in a few months for probably around 20% off. It's a really good deal, honestly. But with that all said, remember that Christ is King, and may the Force be with you.